Let's say goodbye to all your worries about tax planning, investment troubles, and any confusion when it comes to managing your finances and money. Here at Rocky Hill Accountants, our team has a combined 35 years of experience and will help you do it right. We're dedicated to your needs and will deliver on a result that is professional and trustworthy. Our firm is large enough to offer a full range of professional services, but small enough to give you the individual attention that you deserve. Our business portfolio includes thousands of prepared tax returns for individuals, families, partnerships, businesses, and more. The team at Rocky Hill Accountants are also thoroughly trained in tax laws and procedures. We have the ability to represent taxpayers before the IRS when they arrive at collections, audits, and appeals. This allows us to offer our accuracy and audit guarantee to tax clients. Please visit our website at rockyhillaccountants.com or give us a call at 860-257-4238 to schedule an appointment.
Attention all basketball fans. CMG Sports presents the Posting Up Podcast, where Lucas Boldick, Sean Scanlon, and King Zay discuss the latest news and topics throughout the NBA. So, if you have a love for basketball, make sure you check out the Posting Up Podcast, live every Tuesday and Saturday on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Also available for download on every podcast platform.
Lobs it, Burris alone, touchdown New York!
It's off to Leonard, defended by Simmons. Is this the dagger? No! High fly ball, right field. Grossman back, track, wall, see ya! Into the second deck. A grand slam the other way for Aaron Judge, and the Yankees are pouring it on.
For the latest news throughout the sports world, tune in to Sports Talk with R&J every Wednesday at 1 p.m.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I am Steve Risser along with Justin D'Onofrio, and NBA free agency has started and it went off with a bang. But we'll start with the team that didn't sign to the big free agents but made a key trade. Obviously, you saw on draft night the Lakers traded Russell Westbrook, and then for Russell Westbrook, and then yesterday they signed Carmelo Anthony. And looking at this team with Carmelo, looking at this team with Carmelo, with LeBron, with AD, and with Westbrook, this team looks like they're the best team in the NBA right now. I know the Nets signed Patty Mills, but right now I think the Lakers are the best team in the NBA with what they did. They got to stay healthy, and I like the Melo move. Yeah, I'm not the biggest Melo fan as a Knicks fan. I don't think. Oh, here we go with Obi. Lakers buying another championship, and but I just feel like that's what you got to do in the NBA. That's just how the NBA is. Is Westbrook trustworthy? A good question by Ovi. No, he's not. And he's gonna have to change his game. And I am not a Russell Westbrook guy. I'll admit that he's gonna have to change his game. He's gonna have to suit his game to facilitate. I know he facilitates well, but he can't, be ball dominant. He's gotta have to get the ball to LeBron. He's gonna have to get the ball to AD. He's gonna have to get the ball to Melo. And here's the number one thing he's got to do. He's got to be able to shoot threes. He can't be terrible from three-point range because teams are going to know that when they play in the playoffs. Teams are just going to sag off the three-point line. They're going to give him that shot. He's not going to be able to penetrate. He's not going to be able to get to the basket to get LeBron or Melo an open look. So he's got to be able to shoot some threes. But I still think with the talent on that team, I think right now they are the best team in the NBA. But Justin, do you think they're the best team in the NBA?
I think on paper they are. I would not take them to win the finals. They're not my favorites to win the finals. What they did with Russell Westbrook, yeah, they needed a point guard. They didn't like Schroeder. I don't see it working out with Westbrook because those three, I don't know if Russell Westbrook's going to be able to take that back seat. But I do like what the Lakers did. They got deeper. That was one of their problems last year. They got Malik Monk. They got Kendrick Nunn as well. They signed THT back, Tanner Horton Tucker back.
Horton Tucker,
So they got Howard. I think they got worse on the defensive side of the ball a little bit. But I do like what the Lakers are doing. Yeah, they kind of got, some of those guys kind of took a pay cut to come to the Lakers, but it is what it is. Guys want to go win a ring nowadays, and all guys want to go team up for a super team.
Yeah, and we asked the question when Giannis won that championship: are super teams stopping? And they have not. The super teams have definitely not stopped. They're still going to be going. And I think a big reason for that was guys got hurt in this postseason. I think a lot of people look at this postseason, no disrespect to the Bucks, but they look at it as a postseason where guys got hurt. A big reason why the Suns got to the finals was because AD was out and Kawhi was out. And a big reason the Bucks got to the finals was because Harden and Kyrie were hurt. I'm not making excuses. That's just the reality of the situation. So players are not going to be loyal to their teams. I feel like this super team thing is going to be going on. I think it's going to be going on for years.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah. Look, because the Nets would have swept the Bucks probably if Harden and Kyrie didn't get hurt. They were up by 30 going the second quarter in Game 2. They had no shot. Yeah, the Lakers losing AD was huge. I think he's really their most important player when he's healthy. He's got to be the one.
And good. You got a comment from we blame it on LeBron, and I'm for player mobility, but for people who don't like super teams, you absolutely could blame it on LeBron because he was the one that started it. He was the one that on national TV announced that I'm taking my talents to South Beach, and I'm joining the Miami Heat. So yes, I'm for player mobility. I don't mind player mobility, but for people that don't like player mobility, you definitely could blame it on LeBron. And and I know you're somebody who doesn't like player mobility, Justin.
Yeah, I think there's too much. I don't mind if a guy jumps around, but I think there's too much of it now where guys just do not want to stay with their own team when the situation gets, a little, when there's a little tension. Guys just want to get out of there, and it hurts the rest of the league. Yeah, it was great the Bucks won it, but to your point, the injuries, yeah, it would have been the Lakers and the Nets if those injuries did not happen. If it was a normal year, it would have been the Nets and Lakers. And again, we're probably going to get it next year because we're going to be back to a normal season. But yeah, I don't mind a little bit of player mobility because they should have the right when their contract's up to move around. But I don't. Most of it is with the trades and guys forcing their way on the team. That's what I cannot stand most.
Yeah, I know you can't stand it. In my opinion, though, if management's not doing enough to keep you, and here's another one. Players don't want to lead; they quit when things go right, and they leave to go to another organization. It's today's NBA generation. Oh, we hit the nail on the head. That's what they do. That's what you saw. You saw it with LeBron. You saw it with Durant. You saw it with James Harden this year. You've seen it for years. You've seen it for years with Kyrie Irving. You've seen it with a lot of these superstars. You saw it with AD in New Orleans, and you might be seeing it with Damian Lillard. They don't want us. They don't want. He said it. They don't want to lead. They want to join super teams, and they want to get rings that way. And Ovi's probably an NBA fan from the '80s, where Magic would have never thought to team up with Bird, or they would have never thought of teaming up. Oh yeah. And then like Charles Barkley has said, I never wanted to team up with Michael Jordan. I would have never teamed up with Michael Jordan. Or Karl Malone probably would have never teamed up with Michael Jordan. Same with Reggie Miller. Like you got great players like Karl Malone. Can Phoenix hang on with the Lakers? Can Phoenix hang with the Lakers? I don't know. And we'll get to Phoenix. We'll get to because we got Chris Paul news, but. With those three guys healthy, Westbrook, AD, and LeBron, I don't think so. I really don't. I think yes. If you look at that series against the Phoenix, the Lakers were up 2-1 and were in control of Game 4 before AD got hurt, and then that series went south. I do think they could give them if they play in like a Western Conference Final, maybe a 6-game series. But I just think what Phoenix is missing is that second superstar that the Lakers have. And then they have another, top 25 player in Russell Westbrook. So if the Lakers were healthy and were the Suns healthy, I personally don't think they could beat the Lakers in a 7-game series. Justin, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the Suns probably give them 5-6 game series. Yeah, I don't think the Suns have enough depth. Yeah, they're missing that other star. As long as AD, Russell, LeBron are healthy, it's going to be tough. Ayton was really, really good, but yeah, I think they would need like a Bridges to really have a big series. They need to have some other guys step up to win, 4 games that series. Booker wouldn't be able to carry it. I think the Lakers have too much depth now.
Yes, and speaking of the Suns, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about Chris Paul, and he signed a 4-year. I think he signed a 4-year 120. 4 years, 120 with the Suns. So he's back with the team. Him and Devin Booker. The Suns are definitely going to regret the back end of that deal because Chris Paul will be 40 while that deal ends. But still, I mean, with this move, I still think with Kawhi out, you could argue, the Western Conference is stacked. I mean, with don't forget about the Nuggets with Jamal Murray. Don't forget about the Mavericks with Luka. And he's probably going to be even better next year. And then obviously the Clippers if they can get Kawhi back. But I still think that the Suns with Kawhi out, I think they are the second best team in the Western Conference with Chris Paul on that team. So I do think this is a good move for the Suns to get Chris Paul. I don't know if it gets them past the Lakers when they're healthy, but you never know. You can't count on AD to stay healthy. So. And you never know what could happen with LeBron next year. He could fall off. He might not be as good. So you never know. They could get back to the finals. I think that's a big reason why they made that move.
Yeah, absolutely. They're running it back. I think it's a team that was right there. Right there in the finals. Lost tough on the Bucks. Yeah, they signed Karen Payne back, so they kind of are going back with the same squad. I do think they're going to be right there, 2-3. We'll see what the Mavs do and how the Warriors look with Clay coming back, hopefully. I think they're right there, the second best team. On the back end of that deal could really backfire against the Suns. But I think, for the first 2 years of this deal, if he can get you a ring, I think it'd be worth it. If they can somehow get a trade for somebody, I know they're, I think about $10 million away from kind of right at the cap line. So I don't, they'd have to do some maneuvering, but if they can get somebody in there, then the Suns are going to be able to give Lakers all they can handle.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting there. So we'll talk about a couple of other guys who signed big deals. We obviously heard about Steph Curry. He signed. I think he's getting paid $53 million a year. So he signed an extension with the Warriors, 4 years, $215 million. I like that deal. Curry he proved this year why he was a top 5 player. I mean, he carried that team. That team is probably the worst team in basketball if Steph Curry's not on it. You saw that the previous year they were. So Steph Curry carried that team. Didn't get into the playoffs, but got him pretty much one game away from the playoffs. So, and they almost beat the Lakers. So in that first game, and they lost to Memphis in the second game of the play-in tournament. But it's just So a good move by Golden State. Then obviously they got to hope Klay Thompson is healthy, and that's another team in the West you forget about because if Thompson, we don't know if he's going to be that player, but if Thompson's the player he was, 3 or 4 years ago, that's another NBA Finals contender.
Absolutely. With those two, the Splash Brothers, I know they're trying to make another move here. I could maybe see them getting Kawhi. I don't think Kawhi is going to lead the Clippers, but if he does, I think the Warriors are probably the team that he goes to. Curry's the first player ever to sign two $200 million contracts. His final year, he's getting $59.6 million, which is insane to make in one season. If Clay can come back, and it's going to be 2 years, so it's going to be tough to tell if he's going to be the same guy or not. You hope he is for the sake of the Warriors and for everybody to have him come back normal. But this team is definitely could be a contender in that Western Conference as long as they stay healthy, and that's kind of the big key for Golden State. But even if Thompson does get hurt or something, Curry could get this team to a playoff, be like a 7-8 seed, and they could be they're a dangerous 7 or 8 seed. They have the Lakers, as you mentioned, pretty much in the fourth quarter. They did have a lead there for a few minutes. They didn't have enough.
Absolutely. We'll look at the team that got to the Eastern Conference Finals. They obviously, locked up Trae Young and they locked up John Collins. They're a team that's going to be a contender for a while. If John Collins could take a jump, if one of those guys if John Collins could take a jump and become an even better player, that team's going to be right there with the Bucks, with the Nets, with the Heat, we're seeing what the Heat did with the Heat in the Eastern Conference and the Sixers.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Trae Young had an unbelievable playoffs.
We may have lost Justin there, but you good, Justin?
Yeah, I'm back. Trae Young had an unbelievable playoffs. Cement himself in that kind of like superstar category now. Yeah, John Collins can kind of take that next step. The Hawks should be a contender for the next few years in the Eastern Conference with those two. They have some nice key pieces. Cam Reddish going to come back. Herter, Bogdanovich. So they have some nice pieces. So, yeah, they should be contenders in the Eastern Conference for years to come.
Absolutely. So we'll look at two teams that I think won the trade deadline. One was the Miami Heat, and one was the Chicago Bulls. We'll talk about the Miami Heat as free agency. Sorry about that. But yeah, so it's the Heat and the Bulls winning free. I think we got the Heat and the Bulls winning free agency. We'll start with the Heat and the move to get Kyle Lowry. That was a really good move. That shows you that they're going for it. They're probably going to sign Butler to an extension. So you got that big three with Jimmy Butler, with Bam Adebayo, and with Kyle Lowry. And then they signed Duncan Robinson too. So the Miami Heat right now, where would you put them in the Eastern Conference? I'm thinking I definitely have the Nets. I definitely have them behind the Nets and the Bucks. But after that, you could argue they're better than the Sixers. They're better than the Hawks. You could argue with the moves they made. And, last season, I think they were a little bit fatigued with the bubble. You could argue the Heat are a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I have them third. I think they are right now better than the Sixers. Who knows what happens with Ben Simmons and what they get back, but yeah, I have them third right now. I like the addition to Kyle Lowry. I like the addition to PJ Tucker. He's another great defender, and the Miami Heat love that. So yeah, Lowry kind of figures out their point guard situation with Butler, with Bam. I do think the Heat are a top 3 contender. Eric Spoelstra, one of the best coaches in the NBA. The Heat are going to be right there, and in a Division II, which outside of the Hawks is really not much worry. I guess the Hornets are probably going to be maybe like a 7-8 seed bubble or play-in team, but the Magic in Washington are rebuilding, so it's an easier division, but yeah, I think the Heat are going to be a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference.
Absolutely. So we'll talk about the other team, and that was the Chicago Bulls. And they were busy in free agency. They signed Lonzo Ball. They signed DeMar DeRozan. Then you saw the free agency. They went out and got Vucevic. They got Zach LaVine. This is a team right now. I'm looking through the Eastern Conference. Right now with these moves, I definitely got them as a playoff team. Now, I don't have them as a top 4 team because I don't think they have a bona fide superstar or even a top 25 player. I mean, you could argue LaVine is or not. You could argue that, but I got them as a top. I got them as a top 8 team. I think with these moves, the Bulls are definitely a playoff team. Justin, do you think the Bulls are a playoff team?
Yeah, I think so. I have them right around the 5 and 6, kind of right around there. I really like what the Bulls did too because they addressed on the defense. Lonzo Ball last year, defensive rating was 112. DeMar DeRozan was 114 defensive rating. The Bulls really struggled. They were able to score, but the biggest problem was they just could not. They could not stop anybody. And with Vucevic as well, Zach LaVine's a really nice player. I like Billy Donovan. I know, we saw what he did 2 years ago with OKC. I know probably some of that had a lot to do with Chris Paul, but I like this Bulls team. I definitely do think. I think they're going to win their division. I think they did more than the Pacers. They should be able to, take them in the division. But yeah, I like the defense that the Bulls improved on the defense side of the ball.
Absolutely. I think I'm really excited for this Bulls team next year. I think, in my opinion, definitely a playoff team. I think that, I'm really excited. I think because the Wizards aren't going to make the playoffs, and I'm not the biggest Westbrook guy. I know the Wizards are probably not going to make the playoffs, so I got the Bulls in that 8 spot right now.
Yeah, I actually have them finishing 5th or 6th right now. I'm really high on this team. I know they wanted to go for it, just try to get in the playoffs last year. It was a disaster sending. They didn't play well, but I do think, I know Lonzo and DeRozan are not the greatest shooters. I think that could be one of the problems, but I think defensively they're going to be a lot more improved. And I think they take advantage. I think they finish probably right around 5th or 6th.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. But it's nice to see basketball back in a big market. It's nice to see a big market like Chicago, and they're relevant because they haven't been relevant since the Jimmy Butler days in 2017 when they led that series against the Celtics 2-0 and the Celtics came back to beat them in 6. They haven't been relevant since then. It's nice to see Chicago. It's nice to see a market like Chicago relevant in the NBA. But we'll talk about another big market, and Kemba Walker is back at Madison Square Garden. Who would have thought it? OKC bought him out. The Knicks signed him. He is back in the Garden. Kemba Walker. We all know the memories as UConn fans. Breaking McGee's ankles in that quarterfinal, winning that Big East tournament, the 5 games in 5 days. Memories that will live with UConn fans forever. And now it's great to see him back. I know he's not the player he once was, but it's nice to see him in the garden. I think what he's going to do is I think he's going to bring depth to that point guard position. I think obviously when you got Julius Randle, you got R.J. Barrett, you signed. I don't love the Evan Fournier signing, but you signed him. You re-signed Nerlens Noel. I think he adds depth to this team. I think he'll be the starter. Rose will be the backup. He definitely adds depth at the point guard position for the Knicks. Justin, you got to be excited. Even though he played in Boston for the last couple of years, you got to be excited to be watching Kemba come back to New York to play in his hometown. I think he's gonna be pumped to do it.
Oh yeah, I think he's even admitted he loves playing at the Garden. It's home for him, he's not the player he once was with the knees anymore. Unfortunately, because his would come in the league with his size, it was his quickness. But I think he's gonna give every ounce of he's gonna give you every ounce he's got in him. For Tom Thibodeau. I do like the move. You guys really need to find a point guard. Obviously
Rose was good, but you saw, and he was good, but you saw in some of those playoff games he wore down. And Elfrid Payton was not the answer.
Yeah. So I think he adds some depth, and I think Derrick Rose too. Yeah, he playoffs. Yeah, he kind of ran on steam, but I think too he's like a lightning rod off the bench. So I feel like to keep him on the bench, it's better. Kemba Walker coming back. He's had some great minutes. He always plays great at the Garden. He even did it when he was at the Hornets, and so he had a couple good games too with the Celtics there. So he loves playing at the Garden. I think he's going to be psyched. I think he's gonna. I think he can play really well and just kind of give you that point guard option. I don't mind the Fourier option because obviously he's not a big, obviously he can't be your two guy behind Randall, but he's a guy consistently knock down jumpers. I think, with the Knicks kind of needed to take some pressure off, but wasn't a bad move, but I do like that they got some shooting in there.
Absolutely. That's what the Knicks need because they lost Reggie Bullock, who, he wasn't a great player, but he was a good three-point shooter. The Knicks need three-point shooting because you can't. Randall was a really good three-point shooter in the regular season. You can't rely on him to shoot threes in the postseason. He proved in the postseason he was a very good player. He proved he wasn't a great player in the postseason. R.J. Barrett, the jury's still out on him. I think he's a very good player, but the jury's still out on him. Could he be a one on a championship team? The jury's still out on him. It's nice to add some shooting. It's nice to add Kemba Walker. And I'm as a UConn fan, I'm really excited. I'm probably going to go to a game next year to watch him play.
Yeah, you should. That would be cool. Going back watching him play. It's exciting. I know. Being close. If Knicks are definitely not my team behind the Kings now. I'll be rooting for the Knicks every night now. With adding Kemba Walker, it's great.
Absolutely. We'll talk about some other Knick moves too. They went out. They brought back Derrick Rose. They brought back for I think as a backup point guard. I really like that move, and I do like the move. Keeping Noel. I think he was okay last year at center, and I really like the Alex Burks move because he was really good off the bench for the Knicks last year.
Yeah, he was. Other shooter. Yeah, you guys need some of those guys off the bench. Especially team that. You don't really have that. I know you have Randall, but, for the playoffs where we kind of saw Randall just wasn't ready for the big moment, it's good to kind of have those pieces, off the bench where you can rely on, where guys you can kind of trust that can give you 10, 15 points to try to take some pressure off. So, I do like having Alex Burke come back. I like that they have Noel coming back at center for back because, Mitchell Robinson's missed a lot of time. I felt that he did a good job filling in while Robinson was out. So, I like how the Knicks are kind of just pretty much running the same team back out there. You may want to, who knows what Leon Rose still has in the plans, but, be nice to get a star in here. But I think maybe that will take some time. There wasn't too many stars out here in free agency this year.
But the thing was, as a Knicks fan, as much as you like the fact we got Kemba, every Knicks fan wanted Dame. Every Knicks fan wanted Dame because if you add Dame to that team with Julius Randle and R.J. Barrett, that would be a team that'd be competing for that could be a team that could be competing for a championship.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Damian Lillard's one of the best, one of the best players in the NBA. He's one of the best scorers. Ovi, I think Kemba, Ovi's comment. Kemba's not going to do too much for the Knicks. I think he'll come and be the starting point guard. I think, he's probably be more of a facilitator. I don't think he's, going to have like any 25, 30-point, games. But, I think he'll be a really good facilitator and a good leader to kind of have in that locker room along with Derrick Rose. And I think, a guy who grew up right there, I think he's going to play with a lot of pride. And I think you're going to get everything out of Kemba. Yeah, it's not going to be the Kemba from 4 or 5 years ago. But I think you're going to get the best version of Kemba Walker at, age 32, I think he is. It's not going to be the all-star. It's not going to be the guy with the horns we saw his first few years there.
But what I would say to that, it's obviously a big upgrade over Elfrid Payton, and that's why I don't mind it. It's an upgrade over Elfrid Payton. It's not that much. It's not that much money, and I don't mind it. I really don't mind. I don't mind it. I like the fact he's playing in his hometown. Yeah, I don't expect him to be a superstar, but he's going to be a piece on this team that very easily could get back to the playoffs. I don't know if they'll be as good as they were last year because I think they played over their head, but this is a piece on this team that could that can get back to the playoffs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And he's a guy that he was with the Celtics when they got to the Eastern Conference Finals. I know Hornets, I think he made it once or twice. They didn't really do anything. But yeah, he's a guy too, that he usually turns it on when the lights get bright. He's a guy in the playoffs that you need a big shot. Yeah, he's gonna be able to hit it. It's definitely an upgrade over Elfrid Payton. He struggled. I know that's kind of been the hole here for the last few years for the Knicks is they just haven't had a point guard that's been able to kind of be a leader. And yeah, you're going to get that with Kemba Walker now. I do like the move for the Knicks, maybe again, keep Walker for a year or two and just, don't rush on trying to make the big kind of find your next point guard. Now you kind of have that filled now for a year or two. You kind of take your time and evaluate all your options, see who's your point guard of the future.
Absolutely. We'll talk about one more move for the Knicks, and they signed Evan Fournier. And I'm not the biggest fan of Fournier. I know he'll probably be an upgrade over Burks, but he's averages 17 points a game, but he's very, very streaky. And I'm not the biggest fan of this move, but they wanted an upgrade over Burks, and they got it. But I just don't think Evan Fournier makes the Knicks that much better.
Yeah, I think they make him a little bit better. I don't mind the move. Yeah, he's streaky. I remember there's games where he was with the Celtics. He shot 0 for 12, and then the next night he put up 30. You don't ever know what you're going to get out of him. But, yeah, I do like that they added one more shooter with Burks, because they did, as you mentioned, they lost Bullock. So, yeah, I don't mind the move. You really can't rely on to kind of be the guy behind Julius Randle as a number 2. You're not going to win a championship with him as a 2. You're not going to win a championship with him as a 3 even. So, yeah, it's not a great move, but it's a move that I don't mind the Knicks doing here and getting another shooter for this team.
Absolutely. So, NBA free agency, it was fast. This year, most of the big time guys are already signed. And obviously, we still have Kawhi Leonard, who is who has opted out. But I think, for the most part, he's going back to the Clippers. I just think they're just redoing his deal. He's going back to the Clippers.
Yeah, I think so too. He likes being in Southern California. He's mentioned that it's close to home for him. Yeah, because I think it's gonna be more money and it'll be more security coming off the injury. So yeah, I think they're just gonna redo the deal. I think it's like a 98% chance he go back to Clippers. I think like a 2% chance he goes to Warriors. I think he's definitely going back to Clippers.
All righty, so we'll be talking about the NBA all throughout the next couple months if there's any big moves. But the Colts lost their starting quarterback for the second time in 3 years. We'll talk about that next. But before that, we got a promo from Clovercrest Media.
The college football season is coming back, and we got you covered on every game. We're breaking it down on each snap all season long. Catch us every week starting on August 4th. Joe Aguirre, Sean Scanlon, Jace Garcia, and yours truly, Obi Muniz, giving you the highlights, predictions, and current rankings. Visit our website at hhwshow.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's All Four Downs, part of the CMG Sports Podcast Network.
The Giants are running New York like the Times as Danny is dropping all sorts of dimes. Saquon's thighs are ruining defenses' lives and Leonard Williams making opposing QBs feel him. Receivers think it's scary to line up across James Bradbury, and the Giants have a bright future led by Coach Judge, Jury, and Executioner. Tune in to Drawing About the G-Men every Wednesday at 6, live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
That was Drawing About the G-Men. Make sure you check that out tonight. Jace, Sean, Joe, and Isaiah. Make sure you check that out tonight, Drawing About the G-Men. And I know Justin liked that first promo, all 4 downs, and that's coming. We saw the comment from Ovi. That's coming tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. You got Ovi, Sean, and Jason, Joe, all 4 downs. You know the college football season's back when you got all 4 downs coming. So we'll definitely be talking some college football in the next couple of weeks. But we got to get to the NFL. And we got to get to Carson Wentz and the Colts. Man, 2 years ago, it looks like they're going to be a Super Bowl contender. Andrew Luck retires, and this year, I'm gonna give everyone a secret. I had them winning the AFC South, and I had them going to the AFC Championship game. But you got to change that, seeing what happened yesterday. They lose Carson Wentz for 5 to 10 weeks with an injury, and then they lose, and then with the same injury, they lose Quentin Nelson, which is a big loss. That's the best guard in the league, and that's the guy that held that offensive line together. And they probably won't have Eric Fisher to start the season. And if you look at the Colts' first 5 games, they open the season against the Seahawks and the Rams at home. Then they go to Tennessee. Then they go to Miami. Then they go to Tennessee. They go to Miami, and they go to Baltimore. So this is it's a brutal schedule for the Colts to start the season. I could easily see them starting 0-5 with the injuries to Carson Wentz and the injuries to Quentin Nelson. Very easily. And a big Jace. I knew Easter would at least get some starts this season. Didn't expect it off the rip like this, but Nelson is the best offensive lineman. A great point, Chase. Yes, he definitely is the best offensive lineman in the league. He is. He's outstanding, and that's gonna be a big loss because that offensive line could definitely have trouble. And then you're looking at Jacob Eason, or a guy we're going to talk about who also wasn't a mobile quarterback. You probably have 2 quarterbacks they're looking at who aren't mobile. The Colts are just in big trouble. And right now the question is two questions. I think one's pretty easy. Are the Colts the best team in the AFC South? I think we can both answer that. Absolutely not. The big question is, are the Colts still a playoff team with these injuries?
Yeah, right now I got Tennessee as the best team in the division. You know, they also have Ryan Kelly right now. I know he may be back at the start of the season, but right now they're down 3 of their 5 offensive linemen. You know, with a rookie quarterback maybe, or Nick Foles, yeah, that could spell trouble in that schedule. I could very easily see them being 0-5. Yeah, I think right now their defense is going to be good. You know, they may be able to keep them some games, but I just don't think this offense will be able to do enough. They're going to need big games out of Jonathan Taylor and Marlon Mack. Tennessee right now is the best team, even though their defense still needs some work, but Tennessee right now is the best team. Are they still a playoff team? If they don't come back in time, I don't think so. Now, if Nelson and Wentz come back in 5 weeks, then they're back for week 1. But I think that's kind of more of a long shot. So again, if they miss,
yeah, we might have lost Justin there, but I've got a comment from Hector. Big blow to the Colts. They finished 4-12. I'm going more 6-11, 4-13. Yes, good point, Hector. They play 17 games this year, so. That's a good point. I could see that happening because I could see them getting off to a 1-7 start and it just completely falling apart. And maybe just at that point, Wentz and Nelson just sit out for the rest of the year. So I could definitely see that happening. But looking at their schedule in the second half, their schedule is a little bit easier. I think they have Jacksonville a couple times. They got Houston a couple of times. They actually got the Patriots. The Patriots won't be an easy game. They got the Patriots at home. So I think they got the Jets close when they're going to come, when Wentz and Nelson are going to come back. So I'm thinking like 6-11 or 7-10 right now, but definitely not a playoff team.
Yeah, I don't really have them there. I have them, if they can't come back, I have them kind of 5-6 win line at the moment. Yeah, it would have helped if they had Jacksonville and Houston the first few weeks, maybe to get some confidence going and get some wins. But yeah, I just don't see it. If they can't come back in time, I think an 0-4 start, especially in AFC where that final wild card spot, it's gonna come down the wire, and I think you're probably gonna need right around 9-10 wins. And I if they start 0-4, I think it's going to be a big uphill climb to try to get that that last wild card spot for them.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of rumors that the Colts are going to get Nick Foles, and the big question is would the Colts be better off? I think some people think it would be a completely obvious question, but it might be a little less obvious than people think. Are the Colts better off trading for Nick Foles and having him play, or starting Jacob Eason? In my opinion, it's definitely starting Nick Foles because he knows the system. He was with Frank Wright in 2017 when the Eagles. He was with Frank Wright in 2017 when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. So, in my opinion, I think they definitely should trade for Nick Foles. But Justin, you've watched a lot more Jacob Eason than I have. So has our listeners today, probably Ovi, Hector, and Jace. And don't feel free to chime in. The big question is going to be, and I'm going to pose it to everyone, all the commenters, Justin, Jace, I'll pose it to everybody. Who would be the better option at quarterback for the Colts? Would it be Jacob Eason? Because I didn't watch a ton of Jacob Eason at Washington. I know that he's not a mobile quarterback, but a big arm. He dropped to the fourth round. I think because of his lack of mobility. We all know at Georgia he was a top pick before he got hurt, and Jacob Fromm took his job, and Georgia went to the national title game. So would they be better off starting Jacob Eason, or would they be better off starting Nick Foles?
I'm going Nick Foles because I don't know if Eason's ready. What I saw in Washington, he really showed against against blitzes. His QBR was a 12.2, and he made some weird mistakes in college. Like there's some times where he'd leave the pocket when it's clean, and he would end up rolling out, and he end up getting sacked. Like there were some plays where it was like you can't be doing that at the next level. Because I don't know how ready he is. We haven't seen him. He didn't have a full offseason last year. I get what Jay's saying, getting Jacob Eason the more reps because you may lose Carson again, but I just don't know if he's ready. I think when we find out a couple of these preseason games, I think we'll get a much better on kind of picture of where Jacob Eason stands. But if the Colts want to make the playoffs, and especially with that first 5 games, like it's especially that week 2 game for Eason against the Rams, I think he could have a lot of trouble in. They have a great running game, the Colts, but I think Foles is the easier. It's probably right now the better pick. Even though I know the Colts may not want to trade him. It sounds like they may go the Eason route, but Foles knows the system, and he's a guy that if you guys, he's not great or anything, but he's probably, he's got a better understanding of the system right now. I'd probably go with the experience of Nick Foles because you do have a chance here to make the Super Bowl, and you have a better shot at that with Nick Foles under center right now than Jacob Eason.
In my opinion, though, I think either one's is not good because you have Quentin Nelson out. You're going to have Eric Fisher out probably to start the year. So you're going to have an offensive line that was supposed to be one of the best in football. That's going to definitely be it's probably going to drop all the way down to probably being average. And you have 2 quarterbacks that are not mobile at all, Foles and Eason. So I think either way the Colts are going to start. No matter who starts, I think the Colts start like 1-7 either way. If Wentz is out and if Nelson are out for if it's closer to 12 weeks than 5 weeks. So I could see the Colts. I don't care who plays quarterback. I think it's going to be a 1-7 start for them either way.
I could totally see it. Yeah, with that schedule, it's not easy. Foles. Foles is not going to come in here and have that magical kind of run he did when they won Super Bowl a few years ago. Obviously that's not happening. With that offensive line, he's not going to be able to. How mobile he is, he's probably got to get rid of the ball quickly. He's not the great. Obviously, he's not the one that's going to put them over the top. But I think right now, I think he's. We'll see what Easton has in the preseason, kind of where he is. But I think we've seen, from Foles over time that, he can kind of fill in here and kind of give you a couple starts, I think he right now is a little bit better of an option than Jacob Eason. I just, what I saw from Washington at times, I just don't think he's really ready to take over an NFL offense.
Yeah, yep. The thing is, the Colts right now, if they could go, if they got to hope they can go 3-5, maybe salvage this and go 3-5, because it is definitely favorable in the second half. Even though they do play the Bills and the Bucs, they got the Texans, they got the Raiders, they got the Jaguars twice. So those could very easily be 4 wins right there if Wentz plays. So they got to try to tread some water, and maybe they'll be able to get to the playoffs. But the way it's looking right now and looking at their tough early season schedule, I don't think it's happening.
I don't think so either. I think it's going to be too tough with that early schedule. I think their defense could keep them in some games and give their offense a chance, but I don't really see it happening. Yeah, I think the Colts would get off to a really, really tough start and don't recover.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll look at some other injury news. And Kenny Galladay came back today. He's not going to be out for a long period of time. We're happy about that. But the big story at Giants camp was this scuffle yesterday. This we don't really have a video access of it, but I heard it was really bad. Daniel Jones was in the bottom of the pile. That's the one thing I couldn't stand about the scuffle was Daniel Jones being in the bottom of the pile. You're the starting quarterback of this team. Get out of there. We don't need you to get hurt. Yeah. Get out of there. As a Giants fan, I don't need you getting hurt. I know fights happen in practice with all NFL teams, but the one thing that bothered me though was Daniel Jones being at the bottom of the pile.
Yeah, scuffles happen. It's the first day of pads on at training camp. Emotions are high and all that. There's a lot of excitement. Yeah, that it happens. Yeah, the scuffle is not the worst thing. Yeah, it's a Daniel Jones. It's your franchise quarterback being at the bottom of the pile. That's the worst thing about it. I don't know how he got underneath there or why he was involved. Yeah, that's dumb to be fighting with your quarterback at the end of the pile. That's like the one problem that I have there with the scuffle. I don't, it happens. It's going to happen. But yeah, having your quarterback under there is not smart.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. That cannot happen. But I'm not sitting here saying, and you're probably going to hear about this tonight on Jaw, and you'll hear probably all about this scuffle on Jaw tonight. But I'm not going to sit here and say Joe Judge has lost control of the team. I was happy he disciplined them yesterday. He should have. That's unacceptable to have that happen. I like that the Giants have a coach that doesn't stand for that. But one thing I'm not going to sit there and say is Joe Judge has lost the team or lost control of the team. I think that's ridiculous to say that before the season started. I mean, this stuff does happen. So I'm not going to sit there and say Joe Judge has lost control of the team.
Oh, absolutely not. I don't think he has. Now, I don't, because we know Joe Judge is, the toughness, kind of bring the physicality. Now, he didn't want to bring it to that fashion, but I think there's a thing to the Giants here of, they're starting to have that, they're starting to kind of follow that mantra there of toughness, physicality. Obviously, you don't want to do it to each other, really, like a scuffle like that. But I think it's, they're starting to bring that toughness that Joe just wants. I feel like so. Yeah, I absolutely do not think he's lost that team.
Yes, and now moving on to the NFC East rival, the Giants, the Eagles. They're going to have Devontae Smith out for 2 to 3 weeks with an injury. I think this is going to be a loss for a couple of weeks. I think this is the issue with drafting him, though. I think he's kind of small, and that's why he's not a slam dunk that he's going to work in the NFL. I think he could be a little bit injury prone. Yeah,
unfortunately, he could be. The size 5'10" or not even. Or 5'10", but yeah, he's small. He's gonna have to be the Eagles' number one wide receiver this year. I know him and Jalen Hurts have some chemistry playing together at Alabama a little bit, but yeah, it is a worry here because of his size. He's so explosive though, if he can stay healthy. But that's but that was a big risk with all the wide receiver injuries the Eagles had. They're not deep there. He should be back before the season. But yeah, that's kind of the problem with Smith. His size. He's not one of these big 6'3", 6'4" guys. It's tough. They're hopefully they're going to need him to be able to step up, and they need to they need a wide receiver to stay healthy. And unfortunately, I don't think Devontae Smith's going to be able to be that guy right now.
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, I think he's out of the running for offensive rookie of the year because he's going to miss time. But I think he could potentially be. But there's a reason Jamar Chase got picked in front of him. He's just a bigger, stronger receiver.
Yeah, he is. And especially with some of these corners now that are coming up that are 6'2", 6'3", we're seeing some bigger corners. So and for Chase to be out a year too, to still be picked ahead of him, because he's 6'1". Maybe he didn't. With Smith, it definitely is a problem that with his size. I know I took him. I think I had him going here, the Eagles, or no, I think I had him going the Giants, I believe. But I had him going before Waddle. But yeah, it's tough to kind of be an undersized wide receiver nowadays, and and people stay healthy and kind of, I think it would have helped if he was going to be more of like a slot guy for somebody, but right now with the Eagles being the number one guy, it's going to be difficult.
Yep, absolutely. So before we get to the Hall of Fame, we'll talk about Nick Chubb getting a 3-year, $36 million extension with the Cleveland Browns, and well-deserved. I feel like, and I think the money makes sense. I think they'll have enough money to pay Baker, maybe, during training camp or, after this season. I think the money makes sense for Nick Chubb, and he's definitely deserved it. He's a top 5 running back in this league.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, if there was a more team-friendly deal, I think it's smart in the Browns because by the time his contract's up, he's going to be 28, 29 still, which is kind of, you're getting to the end there of the, kind of running back kind of life in the NFL. So, he was great. He's been great. He averaged 10 yards a carry last year in the fourth quarter. He's definitely one of the best running backs in the game. It's nice to see the Browns now really have some momentum here and definitely have money to sign Baker. Good move by the Cleveland Browns.
Absolutely. So we'll go to the Hall of Fame. There's actually 2 classes that are going to be enshrined this year. With 2020, they'll be enshrined on Saturday, and the class of 2021, that's going to be enshrined on Sunday. We'll actually start with the class of 2020 because I think this is the most interesting topic, and I think you kind of know where I'm going to go, seeing who's getting enshrined in the Hall of Fame. And I know there's a bunch of guys getting enshrined. We're going to focus on 3. The number one person we're going to focus on, though, is Jimmy Johnson. Obviously, the architect of those Cowboy teams from the 90s. I mean, he drafted Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith. He made that great trade, trading Herschel Walker. Petrino led to that dynasty. And the big question here is was Jimmy Johnson the number one person? Was Jimmy Johnson most responsible for the Cowboys dynasty in the 90s? Even though technically he only has 2 rings because Jerry and him parted ways after they won their second Super Bowl. I think even more than Troy Aikman, I think he's the biggest reason the Cowboys had the dynasty, just because of the talent he was able to collect and put around Troy. I think Troy Aikman's still a great quarterback, but for the talent he was able to collect and put around Troy Aikman, that's why I think he is the biggest reason for the Cowboys dynasty of the 19. He is most responsible for the Cowboys dynasty in the 90s.
Yeah, I'm with you. Jimmy Johnson is one of the best. Yeah, you put a ton of talent around Troy Aikman. Look at the Cowboys since. They have not been the same since Jimmy Johnson's left.
You said it perfectly. They've never been the same since Jimmy Johnson's left. Yes, they won a Super Bowl, but that's outside of Deion Sanders. That Super Bowl was won with Jimmy's players, and Jimmy's was all. Yeah, Barry Switzer was one of the worst coaches to ever win a Super Bowl. The Cowboys won the Cowboys' 3rd Super Bowl was won with Jimmy's players. Even though Jimmy wasn't the coach, they won with his players.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think you could have probably put 95% of the coaches, and they would have won a Super Bowl with that team. So, I think he was the most important kind of impact of that Cowboys dynasty in the 90s. He can even look back at his career in Miami. He had a ton of talent with those Miami Hurricane teams as well. I think Jimmy Johnson had the most to do with that 90s team.
And I think the biggest reason why he had the success he had is he knew all the players coming out of college. It's very similar to Pete Carroll having the success he had, when he started with the Seahawks. He knew all the players coming out of college. Could be the same thing with Urban Meyer. We'll see what happens there. But Jimmy Johnson knew all the players coming out of college. That's why he was able to draft so well and build that team.
Yeah, that's a great point. He did. Yeah, because he's, Miami down in he kind of saw the best guys. He kind of knew who they were. such an important part. Yeah, we saw Pete Carroll kind of that success coming over as well. Urban Meyer, we'll see. I think he drafted pretty well right now, last year, but obviously we'll see. So, yeah, I think that is a big part of kind of, watching all those guys kind of every Saturday and kind of having a background on all of them to what they helped. And even, kind of some of the stars that he even maybe recruited but went to other schools he kind of saw since high school.
And Jay's made a comment. What about – well, here's the deal. Kingsbury doesn't know how to coach, okay? Jimmy Johnson won a national title at Miami. He built that program at Miami. Kingsbury doesn't know how to coach. He was 5-7 with Patrick Mahomes. The guy was fired at Texas Tech. Kingsbury doesn't know how to be a head coach. Jimmy Johnson knows how to be a head coach. Pete Carroll knows how to be a head coach. Urban Meyer, we'll see what happens in the NFL, but he knows how to be a head coach. Cliff Kingsbury got fired. I don't love that example by Jace there with Kingsbury. I don't love that example there with Cliff Kingsbury. And Jace just put in the private chat. I knew that would get you fired up. Yeah. Oh man, yeah. No. You can't compare Cliff Kingsbury to what Jimmy Johnson did. You just can't do that.
No, you can't. I believe Cliff Kingsbury though does still lead Patrick Mahomes the all-time passing yards for Pat Mahomes. So He does got Pat Mahomes somewhere, He's a legend still there at Texas Tech. But yeah, he took over the USC. He was going to be the USC OC before the Cardinals came at him. Nobody else wanted to hire him.
Nobody in college wanted to hire him.
No.
And now he's an underachieving head coach in the NFL. You look at that Cardinal team, talent-wise, and they have a top 10 quarterback. That team should have made the playoffs, but they were the most penalized team in the league last year. As Justin knows, when they played the Patriots, Cam Newton was absolutely terrible. The Patriots had no business winning that game, but they won because the Cardinals handed it to them.
Oh yeah, they had some dumb decisions. I think it was like a 4th and 2. They tried a 53-yard field goal and they missed. I think one of the time they were in the red zone, they should have kicked the field goal and they went for it on 4th down and they got stuffed. He's not the brightest head coach in the world. So Cliff should not be an NFL head coach.
One thing I'll give him credit for is he did know Josh Rosen wasn't the guy and Kyler Murray was the guy. That's the only reason he's still around is he made the right move at the most important position.
That's it. He can evaluate talent because Mahomes was a 3-star. He only had 3 or 4 scholarship offers, so he does get some credit there for kind of finding Pat Mahomes. But he can evaluate offense. That's about it. I think he's a terrific OC, but that's about it.
Yes. Let's get back onto the Hall of Fame. And 2 other guys going in the class of 2020 are Edgerrin James and Isaac Bruce. 2 memories I had from them. Edgerrin James, one of the top backs in the league in the days of the Indianapolis Colts when they didn't win a Super Bowl ring, but there was years where they would get to you probably remember those years. You're probably pretty young, but where they would get to the AFC Championship game and they would always lose to the Patriots, or they would always lose to the Patriots in the playoffs. Those were the teams Edgerrin James was on with Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne. So, and actually the year after he left, they won a Super Bowl. The year when he went to the Cardinals, they won the Super Bowl the next year with Joseph Adai. So, but still a great career for Edgerrin James. And then Isaac Bruce, part of the greatest show on turf. There's 3 other Hall of Famers, Orlando Pace, Kurt Warner, and Marshall Faulk from that offense. Probably one of the greatest offenses we'll ever see. Isaac Bruce and Edgerrin James going to the Hall of Fame. Should have last year, but they're going to the Hall of Fame on Saturday.
Yeah, Isaac Bruce, that greatest show on turf, and for offense back in 2001, obviously such an explosive offense. It had so many weapons. That's one of the best teams. That unfortunately kind of lost the Patriots Super Bowl, but that's just such a talented team that Isaac Bruce is a part of. And Edgerrin James, with the Colts, Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harris, they never get over the top with them, with those Colt teams, unfortunately. Another terrific player, well deserved to get in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. Now we go to the class of 2021 that will be enshrined on Sunday night, and I break down this class this way. There were 3 guys we knew when they retired they were going to be first ballot Hall of Famers. Then there was a guy who was on a great defense that won a Super Bowl. But we thought maybe it's still questionable if he's a Hall of Famer or not, but he's a great GM. He's the GM of the 49ers. He's still a great GM. He was a top safety in the league for years in John Lynch. And then 2 guys who have waited for years to get into the Hall of Fame. But first, we'll talk about the guys we knew were going to be first ballot Hall of Famers. Peyton Manning, Charles Woodson, Megatron, just enough said. Peyton Manning, top 3 quarterback, phenomenal career with the Colts and the Broncos. Won 2 Super Bowls, won a Super Bowl MVP, won a 5-time league MVP. Then we look at Charles Woodson, Defensive Player of the Year in 2009. He was one of the top corners in football for years for the Packers and the Raiders. Switched to safety late in his career. And then Calvin Johnson, one of the best. Probably he arguably could be the best receiver we've ever seen. Remember that game against the Cowboys? We went for 329 yards, and when the Lions won that game. And then you remember that catch he made against the Bengals. And people say, Stafford didn't have great teams. He had one of the best receivers to ever play the game. So anybody who wants to make that argument, Stafford didn't have great teams. He still had one of the greatest receivers to ever play the game in his prime. So well-deserved by all 3 of those guys.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Peyton Manning, one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Just, with the Colts, just, again, them and the Patriots every year seemed like they were in the AFC Championship game. They were always right there. He was always one of the top quarterbacks in the league every single year. Definitely one of the top 3 up there. Charles Woodson, I think, one of the best cornerbacks. I've seen physicality. He's so respected, throughout the league. Just played for so long. One of the best shutdown corners in Charles Woodson. And then, Calvin Johnson, just, he was an absolute freak of a wide receiver. Just any ball that was, in like a 5-foot radius, he was going to come down with that ball somehow. It's so unfortunate that his career was shut short with the concussions, but so that kind of stinks, in that he was never really able to have like a chance there to make us go on a playoff run and make a Super Bowl. But one of the best wide receivers that we've seen, and just he was just a freak, and he had an unbelievable career for kind of having a more of a shorter career, and he had he had a shorter career, so it's unfortunate to kind of see what we could have gotten if he didn't without the injuries.
Yeah, Barry and Calvin both retired. Amazing. They both retired in their prime. They both shocked us when they retired. It's crazy. They both played on the same team. Probably one of the best running backs of all time, one of the best receivers of all time. Both retired in their prime. It's crazy that happened. But we'll look at the other 3 Hall of Famers. Obviously, John Lynch, GM of the 49ers, was one of the top safeties in the league in his time. And then 2 guys have waited for years. One, Tom Flores, coached the Raiders to Super Bowl 15 and Super Bowl 18. And then Drew Pearson, the original number 88, getting in the Hall of Fame. Flores and Pearson, well-deserved. And Lynch, there's a question if he's a Hall of Famer, but I think he was a big part of that Buccaneers defense, so I would put him in the Hall of Fame.
Lynch, he was on that Bucs team, had a nice impact, so I get why they put him in the Hall of Fame there. Tom Flores, won a Super Bowl with the Raiders, kind of back when the Raiders were actually pretty good. Won a couple times there. Was a really good.
Your dad
coach.
probably knows about Tom Flores pretty well.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah, I think he's one of his favorite coaches, I believe. I think it's like him or Madden. When they had John Madden as well, and then Drew Pearson as a wide receiver. Definitely another guy that, deservingly, got into the Hall of Fame. I know it took some time for him to get in the Hall of Fame, but I believe he was all-time All-Pro 3 times, Pro Bowler 3 times, part of the 1970s All-Decade team. So well-deserved to get him for Drew Pearson.
Absolutely. So the Yankees rotation is really, really thin, and unfortunately that's the reason due to COVID. But we'll talk about that. But before that, we got a promo from Clovercrest Media.
Clovercrest Media Group presents a CMG podcast, Keys to the City.
Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know.
Crossed up by Kobe, will float to Shaq, and then Shaq goes like this, and the rest is history. Pay attention. Don't tell me what to do, Devil Woman. But speaking of those Lakers, hold on. But I didn't make I said Denver's gonna win. Yeah, you did. You said that.
There's no other show like that. Clovercrest is doing great things right now.
Streaming everywhere.
Looking for a casual baseball podcast to listen to? Well, Baseball with the Bard, presented by Clovercrest Media, has just what you're looking for. Tyler Bard and Noah Cross cover a wide range of happenings in the MLB and then dive into a deep focus on the Red Sox and Yankees. Join us every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for your weekly dose of Baseball with the Bard.
So the Yankees started to get hot. They got a sweep over the Marlins, but unfortunately, there was some news and stunning news after they lost to the Orioles on Monday. Stunning news. Aaron Boone said it in his press conference that Garrett Cole tested positive for COVID, and the next day they find out Jordan Montgomery tested positive for COVID. So this Jordan Montgomery was pitching really well. Obviously, Garrett Cole was pitching well. So this is definitely a big blow for the Yankees. And the big question is right now, they're going to be away from the team for 10 days. Are they going to be able to overcome it within the next week? I think they will. I think with the I think they could beat the Mariners without him, and I think they could handle the Royals without him, and I think they could handle with this one game with the Orioles without him. So I think they're going to be able to overcome the losses of Montgomery and Cole. But Justin, what do you think about that?
I'm on the fence. Like, I can't decide because it's like, what offense do you show up? Because look, if the offense can only get you 1 or 2 runs, you give up 2 or 3, and you're gonna lose that day. So for me, I like what I saw from Gil in his MLB debut. He was really good. Nestor, I believe, is going tonight, or no, Tyone, who's going tonight. He had a sub-2 ERA in July. He's been really good. So yeah, the Mariners have been playing well. I think that could be a really tough one this weekend. But yeah, they should be able to beat the Royals. I think they could do enough without them. But this offense is going to have to help them out here. So, the offense can give them some help. I think they could be able to overcome it.
Yes. I mean, and Nestor Cortez, you got to give him credit. He's been pitching really, really well. He's came in and pitched really well, Nestor Cortez. He pitches tomorrow night against the Mariners. But, Tyone, he's pitched really well. So you got Tyone and Nestor Cortez going to the next couple of days. But then the question is going to be the last 3 games of the Seattle series. I mean, I'm not sure if I know his last name. The guy who pitched Monday night, Haney, was that his last name?
Yeah.
Haney. He did not pitch well on last night. Cole's not going to start Sunday. Friday's open. So that's where my concern for the Seattle series, and they're neck and neck with the Yankees. That's where my concern comes in the Seattle series because they may not have the pitching, but they got to hit the way they hit last night, and that's when they made these trades to get Rizzo and to get Gallo. That tonight was a night they were envisioning. Rizzo had a really good night. LeMahieu had a good night. I mean, Stan had a really good night. So that's what they were envisioning when they put this together last week.
Yeah, it was. They finally got something going. After Jorge Lopez, who had a career 70 ERA at Yankee Stadium, just absolutely had a no-hitter going to the 5th inning. And then, finally last night they finally got, the bats woke up. I think Gallo's the only one that's going to hit, but I thought a couple of bats are really good.
Yeah, I didn't see all the game. I didn't see the whole game last night, but Gallo, he did have good at-bats. He hasn't been doing well, but he had good at-bats.
Yeah, I know he struck out once, I believe. Then he hit a rope into the shift out in center field. Had him kind of play perfectly out there. So I thought he had some better at bats, but Rizzo, Judge. I think Stan's a huge key for this offense. I know he had a home run in garbage time, but look, if Stan can kind of, after watching last week in Miami, how did this guy hit 60 home runs?
Oh,
and now he can't do anything.
So it's horrible. I mean, he was horrible against the Marlins. But last night he was really good. And he's definitely going to be the key because if he's hitting, that's going to give protection to Rizzo. It's going to give protection to Judge. That's going to give some protection to Gallo. If he's hitting. So he's definitely one of the keys in this lineup. And so is LeMahieu. He's got to start hitting the way he's hit. He hit well last night, but he's got to step it up too. So does Gleyber Torres. This lineup has to step it up. Even though they won some of their games on this weekend in Miami, they only scored they didn't score more than 4 runs in any of their wins. Thanks to some of the clutch hitting from Anthony Rizzo, hitting that home run on Friday night, hitting that big home run on Saturday to put him up 4-2, and then getting that big. The timely hitting's been great with Rizzo, and I didn't think Rizzo was going to be as good as Gallo. Looking at the numbers, Gallo definitely had better numbers this season, but Rizzo, he's proven like a guy that wants to get another job. I think the light's gone on for Anthony Rizzo. I think he's thinking now, I'm a free agent. I got to step it up, or I'm not going to get paid what I want to get paid.
Yeah, absolutely. He's come on the season. He's been fantastic. You know, that 10-game road trip, they finished 6-4. They didn't score more than 4 runs in all 10 games, you know, and they came out 6-4. You know, yeah, the Marlins, I think they only scored like 8 or 9 runs the whole series, and they swept them.
Yeah, but that's what happens when you don't have Duvall on your team. You don't have Marte on your team anymore.
No, yeah, that lineup is awful. They have I love the rotation, but yeah, that's
Marlins rotation is underrated, but that's another story for another day. But still, I mean, yeah, the lineup is just not good. But give the starting pitching credit. You gotta picture who you're facing.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, yeah, they kind of did enough. They got, you know, they were able to get like Alcantara, you know, the pitch count got up. They were able to kind of get to him Sunday. You know, we were able to kind of capitalize off a couple errors, which the Yankees haven't done all year. But yeah, Rizzo went 8 for 9. Yeah, I don't think Rizzo's, you know, always kind of, I don't think he's gonna get a huge contract. I could see him 3-4 years.
Yeah, I agree with Justin there. I kind of agree with Obi there. Yeah, 31. He's probably not looking for a huge deal, but he's looking for. He's not ready to retire. So he's definitely looking for a contract. I think he got a little bit comfortable in Chicago. I think now he's stepping up in New York because now he knows that, you know, people don't want to think he's declining.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. You know, team now that's kind of the Yankees need a spark, kind of looking to get back in the playoff picture, trying to get back in the race here. Yeah, you know, if he can lead the Yankees to like, you know, the ALCS or even the World Series, yeah, he can get a good chunk of money. He's won a World Series to the Cubs. Like, you know, he's kind of been in October baseball before.
He may head to Miami next season in his career there. He's from Florida.
They need a bat.
I could see that. I don't know if for the right price, I could see that.
Yeah, maybe.
But,
I know
they have Jesus Aguilar at first base. Though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think he's got 1 year left for free agency. He leads the NL right now in RBIs, which is insane.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. Think of
it's crazy, but yeah, you know, but yeah, he's a guy who's a solid defender as well for base, and he doesn't strike out. He's only struck out like 59, 60 times this year. Like you know. He's been great. He doesn't strike out. Like that's a guy I would sign. They come play for me for, you know, in October. I'd take that any day of the week. So yeah, Rizzo's been a huge spark. You know, they continue to play well because I think, you know, with kind of, you know, with his you know, what I've noticed in Chicago too is he's kind of got like a silliness to him that kind of just comes out, and it, like, you know, guys just kind of like gravitate towards that. So he's kind of the guy that just, you know, the good guy to have in the clubhouse.
Exactly. Now in the bullpen, I think this bullpen is starting to find its roles, and this is what I want from this bullpen and their roles. Obviously, you want Chapman closing games. That was a huge mistake when Boone had him stop closing games. It completely cost him the game against the Astros before the All-Star break. I want Britton. I want Britton to have the 8th inning, and then Loizica, Green 6th and 7th. That's how I would do. That's how I'd have the bullpen. Yes, Loizica closed the game on Saturday, but I feel like Boone is trending in doing that. That's what Boone is. I feel like that's what Boone wants to do.
Yeah, I think so too. Britton right now scares me in that 8th inning. You know, because he just can't throw strikes right now. You know, he's a little bit concerning for me. But yeah, if he's on and he's right, then yeah, he's one of the best shutdown guys. He had 54 straight saves. So, you know, if he's pitching well, I definitely love him to have in that 8 role. Green's been pretty good all year. Loizica's been pretty good all year. Chapman kind of has figured out you know, whatever was wrong, he's figured out. So yeah, I think I have a lot more confidence now in Chapman to shut it down in the 9th inning now. But yeah, you know, the bullpen pitched pretty well this weekend. You know, it was nice last night too, the start that they got and the lead that they got, that they didn't have to burn anybody last night because they've had to use a lot of guys, and you know, probably a lot more than they wanted to. So yeah, this bullpen's on. If they're pitching well, it's again they have a lead on the 6th, 7th inning. They should win that game, you know, more times than not.
Yes, absolutely. So we look at this big series with the Mariners at home, coming to the Bronx. Got a 4-game set. The Mariners, they're I think the Yankees are ahead by percentage points, but they're both 2 games behind Oakland for the second wild card. So this is a huge series in August between these two teams. Tomorrow night you got Nestor Cortez against I'm not sure the guy's last name Tyler Anderson. You got Gonzalez. You got the Yankees haven't announced a starter for Friday because I think that would have been Montgomery's start against Gonzalez. You got Haney against Flexen, and Garrett Cole's not going to pitch on Sunday. So yeah, but I still think with this lineup and the way they're hitting, I think they're going to surprise. I think, even without Cole Montgomery, I think they take 3 out of 4. I think this team is kind of turning the corner a little bit. I think this lineup is really going to have a big weekend at Yankee Stadium. I think it's going to be a fun weekend at Yankee Stadium, even though the starting pitching doesn't line up for them. I think the Yankees take 3 out of 4 against the Mariners.
Yeah, I'll be there Saturday. I'm very excited. I did not think when we bought tickets back in June that this was going to be a big wild card series this weekend. I was kind of hoping the Yankees would blow them out of the water by now. But here they are. Here the Mariners. I think the Mariners are coming here get a split at least. I like the way they're playing. Abraham Powell, the kid they got from the Astros, he's already got 4 home runs this week. Since they got
France has been pretty good for them.
Yeah,
obviously Seager and Haniger have had good years. Yeah. They've had to have really good years, and they had to have really good years, and they have.
Yeah, and they've been missing probably their top young guy, Kyle Lewis, who's supposed to be back in a few weeks. So I really like what the Mariners team's done, and especially in their bullpen wise. So I think the Mariners come in here and get a split. They're playing really well right now against they're 6-0 right now against the Rays. So they're losing 3-1 right now, but I do worry right now about this lineup, especially Andrew Haney has given up 7 home runs this year at Yankee Stadium in 6 innings pitched. So Haney worries me here with the way the Mariners sort of swinging the bat. So I'm going to say the Yankees come out of this split. I still don't know what offense we're going to get, and then even tonight, Matt Harvey's got 18 and a third consecutive inning scoreless streak. I could see Harvey shutting us down tonight, or I could see us putting up 6 against Matt Harvey. I just don't know.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing with this offense. This offense is not consistent. And now with these moves, especially at home, they made these moves to build this to get 2 left-handed hitters at Yankee Stadium. At home, this offense needs to be consistent. None of this, 2 runs, 3 runs. They got to be scoring, 5-6 runs a game with this offense.
Yeah, absolutely. They're still third. Actually, I'm looking right now. They're third to last right now still in the American League in runs scored. It's unacceptable with this lineup. It really is. So they have to be. They got to turn the corner. They gotta get consistency. They need Stan because some of the bats again last week at the end of last week. It's like, dude, do you even want to be at the plate right now? Because I didn't really just. He looked completely lost up there. Judge hasn't been great lately. I know he had a home run last night, but it's just maybe had I think bat at 230 for the month. And he's right now he's got a 38 game on base consecutive streak. He's the guy that he's got to get hot. So if this lineup can get rolling in the way the pitching staff's been, then look, they're only 5 games out in the loss column in the Rays right now. If they can kind of go on a run here, they can get back in the AL East picture. But this offense has to start to wake up like they did last night. And they have to get they should get 4 or 5 runs every single night.
And speaking of the AL East, we're seeing some cracks from the 2 top teams in the AL East, and we'll start with the Red Sox. And the Red Sox have really struggled. I think a big reason is because of their starting pitching. I mean, if you look at what their starting pitching has done since in the last week, I mean, Erod was terrible in that game against the Blue Jays last Thursday. The rotation struggled in Tampa. Richard struggled last night. This rotation is really struggling. JD Martinez, he's during the losing streak. He's not been hitting well. I'm really surprised this team did not add a starter at the deadline. I think Jose Barrios would have made a lot of sense to add another starting pitcher. I know Chris Sale is going to come back, but I think it's a mistake by Chaim Bloom not to add another starting pitcher. I know this year they didn't think they were going to be as good as they were, but I felt like they really didn't get. I think getting Schwarber, yes, offensively they might be. They're going to be better, but he number one, he doesn't have a defensive position. You're not going to be as good defensively because you really can't play him in the field, and getting him. I don't think filled your needs. I think you needed to beef up the bullpen, get a Craig Kimbrell who went to the White Sox, or get a starting pitcher like Jose Barrios who went to the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I know they didn't want to go Barrios because of what they had to give up. Heim really wants to build up this farm system, and I think it would have required to kind of give up like a Tanner Houck or Jaron Duran, and I don't think that Heim wanted to do that.
I mean, Houck's been their best pitcher in the last couple of weeks.
He has, and they brought him down because he still has the option, and they kind of had confidence in the rotation so that they can get it done. He'll pitch one of the games Saturday in the doubleheader up in Toronto, but this rotation. Garrett Richard, he had some innings last night where he looked good, and then he gets he gives up a couple walks, and it ends from there. Miguel Cabrera hit. He didn't throw a bad pitch to Cabrera, and Cabrera just was able to just muscle it out there. But yeah, it's been the lineup. Going into last night, JD Martinez was 1 for his last 25. He did get 3 hits last night, but he, believe he ended the game again last night. He did Sunday night. Saturday night, they had bases loaded twice in the sixth.
Twice, yeah, that was huge. Yeah. Twice in the sixth and seventh, right? Bases loaded twice.
6, 7. Yeah, they couldn't get it running. They're batting, I think, now 215 with bases loaded now this year, which I think is 27th to 28th in the league. Like, the offense is starting to, I think, like guys like Renfroe, he hasn't been an everyday player before. Kike Hernandez, I know he's banged up, but like the Bogarts, and the thing is, like, Arroyo's been hurt constantly. Marwin Gonzalez has been on the IL. Jaron Duran's struggling right now. He's having trouble catching up the fastballs. They just got rid of Michael Chavis because, again, he's striking out, I think it was like 32% of the time. They just, off the bench, they don't really have guys that they can go to. They give some of these guys a day off, like a Devers and a Bogarts and a Martinez. What's the Schwarber's actually
what was the Sox rationale for getting Schwarber?
They're going to try him at first base. He's been working out first base.
Oh, wow.
So I think he's probably going to a rehab assignment at the end of the week and come back next week.
Ovi said they don't have clutch hitters, and they proved that this weekend with those 2 situations with the bases loaded, and then Martinez came up with two men on in the 7th, and he came out with 2 men on in the 9th, and he didn't get the big hit.
Yeah, absolutely, and the starters, it's the length,
I always thought I knew from day one with this team, this rotation was going to catch up to them. And you can't just keep relying on your bullpen. I knew this rotation was going to catch up to him. This is not a great rotation at all. I mean, yes, Ovaldi's pitched over his head at times. Pavetta's pitched over his head at times. But this and Erod was pitching better lately. But still, I just don't think this I didn't think this is not a rotation for a World Series championship team. That's for sure.
No, it's not. And that's the thing. It's been Pavetta. If his curveball is working, he's able to strike out guys with that pitch. Again, he can use everything. But Ovi obviously
absolutely,
one of the best.
He's one of the best.
To be at this point, to still be 1 game out right now, still one of the best records in all baseball right now. Oh yeah, ton of credit to Alex Cora that they're in this position right now. Yeah, it's been the depth, it's been the lineup lately. Beginning of the year, they were getting clutch hits. Arroyo was coming up. Arroyo is one of the guys that they're missing. He was able to come off the bench. He had a grand slam in the 8th inning against the Braves back in May, I think it was, or May or June. Roy's kind of been that clutch guy off the bench, but he's been out. Marwin's kind of come up with some key hits. Devers did early on. I still think Devers going to be able to do that at some point. But lately they just haven't gotten the big hits that they were getting at the beginning of the year. And I wonder if it's just kind of fatigue too with some of these top guys and even with the pitching staff. I think too, again, we're getting that point. We only played 60 games last year. We're really getting that point of past 100 games. Some of these guys are, weren't built up last year for it. And now we're kind of like we saw in the NBA, just a ton of injuries. And, we're kind of seeing all that maybe come.
Yeah. And you saw Ovi's comment, Bogarts, Devers, and Martinez will do well. And they have done well all season. It is the bullpen that will struggle because the SP will not last. Yeah, the bullpens are good. They've had a good year. This bullpen, Matt Barnes done a great job closing. They've had Whitlock step up. They've had guys step up in this bullpen. The biggest issue with the Red Sox, and Ovi hit the nail on the head, is the starting pitching is just not good enough, and they didn't address it at the trade dedeadline.
No,
like the Yankees, the Yankees addressed their need. They addressed their offense, getting Rizzo and getting Gallo. The Red Sox didn't. They didn't address their need at the trade deadline.
And they wanted Rizzo, like that. The Yankees getting Rizzo was huge. They stole him from the Sox.
Yeah, because the Red Sox have I think they're 30th. They're like 30th in Major League Baseball in production at first base.
Oh yeah, they are. They've struggled. Dalbec's really struggled. Danny Santana, who's played there, struggled. So that's why they're going to try Schwarber there and see what happens. But yeah, like a guy like Perez, I don't think he's going past 5 innings all year. He may have done it once, but. Again, he's a guy that like I don't know what they're gonna do with him because they can't throw him in the bullpen because he doesn't have the stuff for that. Richards, I think maybe goes to the bullpen, but
another great comment by Ovi. Chaim Bloom will not pursue big contracts. He won't. He came from Tampa. Those are his roots are from Tampa. He's not going to go out and sign big time players. He wants to build the farm system. So he's not going to go out and buy players. He came from Tampa. That could come back to bite him, though, because you can't run the Red Sox like you ran the Rays. You can't run the Red Sox like it's a small market team. You're going to have to if you're in a big market now in Boston, you're going to have to spend money. Every time the Red Sox have won a World Series, they went out. Yeah, they haven't spent like the Yankees, but they went out and spent in 2004. They went out and got Kurt Schilling. They got Keith Folk. They also had Kurt Schilling back in 2007. Obviously, in 2013, they went out and they didn't spend a ton, but they made the smaller moves. They went out and got the Napolis. They went out and got the Victorinos. They went out and they made some of the smaller moves. And then in 2018, they went out and signed Craig Kimbrell, and they went out and signed David Price. So the Red Sox have definitely spent money when they've won championships. So. They haven't spent like the Yankees or Dodgers, but still, Chaim Bloom can't run things in Boston like he ran things in Tampa. It's just not going to work for those fans. They expect to get some free agents. That's just the way it is in Boston.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I think he's going to kind of run it like Andrew Fried does out with the Dodgers. Again, he's a former right now. He doesn't have to. I don't think he'd be able to spend $275 million on his team, but yeah, I think that's kind of what Chaim. It's kind of got to build it to like what the Dodgers have, the rich farm system. Again, like they don't, they just got Trey Turner. Didn't really do a dent in their farm system. I think that's kind of where he wants to get it to. But yeah, be able to kind of get right around that, the cap. I think they're 210. I think their thing is they're right around there. So yeah, like he could spend up there. Like Bogarts, I think can opt out next year. You're gonna have to pay Bogarts. Probably upwards of $30 million next year. So, that would be interesting. Devers' contract, I think he's still got a couple years, but I think he's getting close to arbitration. He's going to, you may have to lock him up soon. So, yeah, he's going to have to spend some money here at some point, to run the Red Sox.
And Ovi just put a comment. Great show, guys. Thank you, Ovi. Thank you for listening. And I tell all the listeners, we will steer the show in your direction. Whatever you guys want to talk about. We have topics, but we obviously we love the fact that you guys are listening and you guys are commenting. So we will steer the show in the direction you guys want to steer it in. So we definitely absolutely appreciate that. Thank you, Ovi, for that comment.
Yeah, thank you, Ovi. Yeah, absolutely. We'll steer it in whatever direction you guys want to go to, and we'll answer whatever questions or comments.
Absolutely. So yeah, back on the Red Sox and so going into this weekend, they're in Detroit right now. They lost last night. Before we go to Toronto, we'll talk about them in Detroit, and I think they lose tonight. I think you got Eddie Rod against Casey Mize. Casey Mize, one of the better young pitchers in baseball. I think they lose tonight. I think they do win on Thursday tomorrow in the 1:00 game. But I think this weekend in Toronto, I think they win on Friday. I think they lose the first game Saturday. I think I'm saying Robbie Ray beats him on Sunday, and I think Rue beats him on I think Robbie Ray beats him in the last game on Saturday, and I think Rue beats them on Sunday. So I got the Blue Jays 3 out of 4. I don't like the direction of this Red Sox team right now, and it's just not me being a Yankee fan; it's just me being realistic.
Yeah, what I've seen from this team the last 2 nights, since that Toronto series, the offense has just really struggled. And Mize is a tough matchup tonight. Especially they need A-Rod to really bounce back. I felt like his start Thursday was like Cole's. He had the strikeout pitch going. I think he had 8 strikeouts in 4 innings. He just gave up the long ball. He walked too many. Whatever the issue was the other night, he was not good. Perez, I don't trust Perez at all. Perez depends on the umpire.
Perez is bad. Perez isn't good.
It depends on the umpire. If he's getting the pitches off the plate where because he can't throw, he's got to nibble. If he's not getting the calls, he's going to have a long day. If he's going to get the calls, then he may be able to kind of keep you in the game. But, I think they pull out either today. I think better chance they pull out tomorrow. And against the Blue Jays, the way they're hitting right now, Alex Manoah has been great. Since coming up. Robbie Ray is like a dark horse right now for the AL Cy Young. Barrios pitched well Sunday, and he's one of the top pitchers. I could see them lose. I think they win one of the 4. I don't know which one though, because the Blue Jays starting pitching. That rotation now is pretty solid. So I think they find a way to steal one, probably one of the games on Saturday. But I think they're gonna have a rough time, especially Sunday with Richards going against Ryu. I don't see him win that one.
And after that, the Red Sox host the Rays, so it doesn't get any easier for them.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, you get the Rays now with Sale going Saturday against actually the Yankees AAA team, Wolf-Ferris Grand. He's probably going to start next weekend, probably Thursday or Friday. So they gave him the extra day.
And they do play the Orioles, so that should be an easy game for him.
That's true. Whatever day. So they got to tread water, and I think Schwarber should be back right around the same time Sale does. So if they can kind of tread some water until they get that bat of Schwarber and Sale, it could be another week here for the Sox.
Absolutely. But talking about the team they're going to play next week, and that's the Rays, and they're in trouble too because Glasnow, it's official. He's getting Tommy John, right?
Yeah, I think he was going today. I think he's getting surgery.
Yeah, so he's going getting Tommy John surgery. That's a big loss for the Rays. Their pitching, that was the reason why they lost the 2 games to the Mariners this week. They're starting pitching, and they traded Rich Hill too, so their starting pitching is very, very thin. This definitely is a team that's better offensively with Nelson Cruz and the way Wander Franco's hit lately, and obviously the season Austin Meadows has had. It's definitely a better team offensively than it was last year, but pitching-wise, it's not even close to the team it was pitching-wise. Even though the bullpen and offense are good, I don't know if the starting pitching is enough. If they have enough starting pitching to win the AL East. And I'll ask this question to you, Justin. Do the Rays have enough starting pitching without Glasnow to win the AL East?
Right now, I don't think so. Archer was supposed to be coming back soon. He had a great rehab start, and then his last one, he got hurt again. And I think he's going to start throwing again Friday. So Archer's probably now another 3 weeks away. They thought he was much closer. Luis Patino pitched well Thursday against the Yankees, but – he struggled most of the year. Waka struggled. Yarbrough is kind of, he's the guy that can get hit hard because he doesn't really have strikeout stuff. I think the Rays definitely could be in trouble. Their offense, obviously, Nelson Cruz, one of the best powers of the game, helps. Wander Franco had a big weekend against the Sox. He's really, in his short time, has really hurt the Sox. Again, their bullpen's been good, but how long can you rely on these guys? They're not, you can't rely on these guys 162 games to get you 15, 20, 18 outs a game. They won't last. And they have 14 pitchers on the IL right now, and that may not be a coincidence.
Yeah. And I'm telling you right now, I know the Blue Jays and the Yankees are 6 games out and the Blue Jays are 7 games out. But because those teams address their needs at the trade deadline, I still think both of those teams not only have a chance to get the second wild card, but I think both of them could have a chance to win the division.
I think so too. I like the Blue Jays right now better than the Yankees because I really like the rotation now. I like Manoah. I like Barrios. Ray's been a great pickup. I like the Blue better. And
they found a closer with Romano. They found a closer, and they got They got hand from the Astros. Not great, but as a set, I'll take him as a setup man over him being a closer. Yes, he blew those 2 saves for the Nationals. He blew the last 2 opportunities for the Nationals. He blew those, but I'll take him as a setup man to beef up that bullpen. That bullpen is definitely improved than it was at the beginning of the year. I'm telling you, Toronto is definitely a team to look out for. They could be very dangerous in the postseason.
Yeah, they can with that lineup, the slugging, and they got pitchers that can line up with you. Ryu's been there. Barrios is pitching some playoff games. So, that Blue Jays.
They don't have that true number one, but they got some depth in the rotation getting Barrios.
Oh, yeah, definitely now. And they got 1 year of they got 1 more year of them too at least. And you would think maybe they do sign him. But, he's not – they don't have that true number one. But, Ryu's a guy that's won a World Series. And he's had one of the lower ERAs like the last few years in the whole league. Manoah's kind of come on the scene here and really has been good, since, in his first few starts here up in the major league. So, yeah, their bullpen can kind of, and, I like the Adam Chamber move. I like, getting the guy in Jakeem Soria who's been here. Yeah, I really like this Blue Jays rotation right now. It's solid. I think, that fifth guy, like a Stripling, a Matz, not great, but 1 through 4, they can kind of match with anybody pretty much.
Absolutely. But so before we wrap up baseball, we'll talk about a little bit of the NL West. And Tatis is on the IL again. But then you got the Dodgers with their big moves with Max Scherzer and with Scherzer and Turner. And then you got the Giants getting Chris Bryant. The big question is, who's the best team in the NL West? I think the Padres are out because they're gonna have Tatis out for I think a week or two. But I think they're out with their 6 games out. They're gonna get one of the wild cards. We know that. Who is gonna win that division? The Giants or Dodgers? It's gonna surprise you who I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna pick the Dodgers just because they went out and got Scherzer. And once Turner starts playing, I think that lineup is going to be really, really good. Even though Betts and Bellinger haven't played to their potential, played to their capability.
Yeah, I got the Giants. Now the Dodgers. It sounds like they're going to sign Cole Hamels the next few hours.
Yeah, so, they are. I saw that. Yeah.
So that will help the rotation out. Again, I just don't really. This Dodger rotation just so banged up right now. Jace, right now. Yeah, asking. Yeah,
who's asking that question? This is the same as the best team in baseball. I wouldn't say that. I think the Astros are a better team than the Giants. I think the Giants have a really good record, but the problem is some of those records are a little inflated because they got the worst team in baseball in their division, and you have another bad team, and you have another team that's not that good in their division in the Rockies. So I think those records are a little inflated because if you look at the Padres and the Dodgers, there are guys in the Padres and Dodgers. You have the Bettses, the Bellingers, the Hosmer. You've guys like Hosmer for the Padres who have not had great years, but they're still in the playoffs. I'd say the best team in baseball right now. It might not even be the Dodgers and the Giants. I think it's the Houston Astros. I know their rotation's not great because I think McCullers and Greinke. McCullers pitched well. Greinke's been a little up and down. But I think their lineup is outstanding, and I think their bullpen is one of the top in baseball. So I would say the Astros right now, for me, I think it's the Astros and the Dodgers. The Astros have shown it more than the Dodgers, but I think the Astros and Dodgers are the 2 best teams in baseball. And ironically, they're playing right now. Funny, it wasn't a topic. They're actually playing. And you see that fan throw the trash can on the field?
Yeah, I saw that. Yes, I did see that. Dodgers got shut out last night, surprisingly. Hey, again, right now, my top 2 teams, I do like the point because the Astros right now have been playing so well.
And the White Sox got to be put in there too with the addition of Kimbrel.
Oh yeah, that back in the rotation with Hendricks too now. That's another team that's really good right now. I think the Giants are the best team in baseball. That rotation of the guys they have right now. Yeah,
a lot of no names. It's a lot of no names, but still,
Kevin Gausman
pitching well. Yeah. Who would have thought Kevin Gausman would pitch this well?
And they gave him the qualified offer, which I was like, that why? And he's been unbelievable. Johnny Cueto's gotten the job done. Anthony DiStefano. Even Aaron Sanchez in the bullpens pitched pretty well for him. I love adding Chris Bryant. Now, and they should get Evan Longoria and Brandon Belt back, I think, by this weekend. So I think that's going to help the Giants out even better. Yeah, they play 2 of the worst teams in baseball in that division. But they played well this year against the Dodgers and Padres. They've held their own. So I'm not really a big Dave I wasn't a big Dave Kapler guy going into the season, but again, he's done a great job.
I think Philly might have made a mistake. I think they might have gotten rid of him too soon. I know. I don't mind the fact Girardi's there, but I just don't think the team might have been good enough for Cap. I think they got rid of him too soon.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I don't think he. I don't think he had a good enough team. I know right from the beginning they got booed because of the way he handled the bullpen that opening day against the Mets a few years ago. And I know it just kind of spiraled out of control from then. But yeah, he's really done a good job. This lineup, they lead the league in home runs. They don't strike out. They're up there in slugging. It's a team that's really just put together, and it kind of just seems like that magical Giants run they had back, 2012, 2014. 2016 when They just won the World Series every year. And then it was like the odd years, they weren't, they finished like 500. It just kind of feels like that year where the Giants sneak up on teams and, win the World Series.
We'll see what happens. It'll be a fun, last month and a half of the baseball season. Then we got the postseason, so we'll be talking a lot of baseball in the next coming month, in the next couple months. But we'll wrap up the show talking about the Olympics, and Team USA got to the semifinals by beating Spain. But the big challenge ahead of them against Australia and Patty Mills. This is gonna be a really, really tough game. You saw Australia winning that game over they crushed Argentina, I think 97 to 59. Yeah. So I think that's going to be a really, really tough test for Team USA in the semifinals. But I do think they're going to win it, and I would love to see Luka against Team USA in the final. That would be a really, really great Olympic final to see. I wish it was actually on cable TV instead of Peacock. Instead of Peacock, but it'd be a great Olympic final to see Luka against Team USA.
Yeah, absolutely. Australia would be a tough test. Patty Mills has played well for him. For Team Australia, it's gonna be a tough test to get through. USA's kind of gotten off to a couple slow starts, so I think they got to get off to a fast start. But yeah, what Luka Doncic is doing down in Slovenia for the first time they've ever qualified for the Olympics, and there's 7 tries, be undefeated. He's been unstoppable. It was nice to see. I was they watched most of that game because Germany, Niels Gefala is playing for Germany as well.
Oh, wow.
He led Germany that day in scoring.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so coming off the bench. So I've been trying to watch some Germany games as well. So I did catch most of that Slovenia-Germany game. But, yeah, I was shy of triple-double. He's been playing well. That would be a great game if U.S. and Slovenia meet up for the gold medal match.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens, and we'll be recapping it because it'll all be over by Sunday. So we'll be recapping the Olympics next week. But that's going to wrap it up on Sports Talk with R&J. For our producer Jace Garcia, who did a great job. And for Justin D'Onofrio, I'm Steve Risser. We'll be back next week talking preseason week 1 in the NFL, Yanks and Sox, and any NBA offseason news that comes our way. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
It's off to Leonard, defended by Simmons. Is this the dagger? High fly ball, right field. Grossman back, track, wall, see ya, into the second deck. A grand slam the other way for Aaron Judge, and the Yankees are pouring it on.
For the latest news throughout the sports world, tune in to Sports Talk with R&J every Wednesday at 1 p.m.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group, and here at CMG we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men, and great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.